Hey, it's Aaron from GameEnthus.com here with Joshua from Level99, and he is going to take me through a demo of the game is Bullet 99?
Just Bullet,
Just
actually.
Bullet. I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep adding 99. Everything's 9. I'm Aaron 99. Everything's 99. Bullet. So, Joshua, just a little bit about yourself, and we can jump right in.
Sure. So I'm the project lead at Level99 Games. So I keep everyone in line and make sure tasks get done, and I also run production and whatnot. So I put text on cards and make sure everything gets to press on time. But in my spare time, I design board games, and that's what we'll at today is my first full-fledged game, base game, Bullet.
Cool. Oh, well, hey, congrats. That's all right.
Yeah, it's been quite the time. It's taken about 2 to 3 years to get to this point that we're at, and we're still kind of prototyping it. As you can see, some of the components here are not quite finished, but we'll hopefully have all the graphic design and whatnot done soon.
All right, so I will be quiet and except for when I ask silly questions and allow you to explain your game.
Sure. So just a quick overview. Bullet is a shoot 'em up board game based off the video games, like Galaxian and Space Invaders and Toho and whatnot. So this kind of tries to emulate that feel. How the game kind of works is we'll be getting these bullets on our board, and we'll be using our actions here to manipulate these bullets to set up different patterns on our boards. You can see here each character has a different set of patterns, and while we're playing, we're trying to organize these bullets in certain configurations to get rid of them and send them to the opponent. So that's kind of the general flow, is we'll get bullets, we'll use our actions to manipulate them, and then we'll use these patterns to clear them and send them to the opponent. And in that way, we're trying to survive as long as we can so that the other person loses before I do, essentially. So you're kind of trying to deal with this onslaught of bullets, and you're trying to send a bunch to your opponent while you stay alive at the same time.
So it's are you kind of thrust into the game like tactically, like you were in real time trying to defeat your opponent? Or are you able to set things up prior?
Basically, so the turns are simultaneous, so we'll be playing at the same time. And there is a timer that you can play with the game. We won't be playing with the timer in this demo, but you can play with a 3-minute timer that kind of makes it a lot more tense.
3 minutes, like per round, or for like
3 minutes per round, not the whole game. No,
that's a quick game.
That'd be a little insane. So here's your patterns here, and you'll notice that every character has a unique ability here. Okay. So every character kind of plays the game a little differently. They have different actions and different things they can do, different patterns. Your character, they're pretty simple. They just have 4 patterns in their hand instead of 3 like normal, so they get extra cards over the course of the game.
Okay.
So if you'd like, I can just run you through what a turn is like, and then we can play the game.
Sure.
If you think that'd be easy. So at the start of the game, you'll get 10 bullets from the center here. So this is a bag of 140 bullets, 5 different colors, 4 different numbers. And that's kind of what we'll be dealing with as the game goes on. So on your turn, you can do one of 3 main things. You can place bullets on your board from the bag, you can play actions, and you can play patterns. So when you place a bullet, you'll draw a bullet from the bag, and the color that the bullet is the column that it goes in, and the number is how far down it goes. So this red 4 would go 4 spaces down into this slot. And you can draw additional bullets, and they would fall into their slots as you play. The thing is, when you have multiple bullets in a column, that's when things start to get dangerous. So see the screen 3 drew. When you're placing it in a column that already has bullets, you skip over bullets that already have spaces. So for this 3, I would place it 1, 2, 3 in this space.
I'm not understanding why, but there's a 2 in the green, but the 3 spaces open. Why would you have to skip?
So that's kind of one of the rules of the game. So you count empty spaces, essentially.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So you can't. I couldn't place in this space if this were a green 2 example, I would have to go 1, 2, 3 and place here.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
And that's kind of how the danger adds up. So if eventually I'll have a lot of bullets on my board, and things will start to get really dangerous. And if a bullet goes off of my board onto this space here, it would hit me and go onto one of my lives, and I would take a damage. So if I were to draw another pink 4 now, that would go onto one of my lives and hit me, and I would take one of my 4 hearts.
So the real goal is to situate them so you're keeping them away from you, but also to build the patterns you can send it over to your opponent before it hits you.
Exactly, right. So you're trying to mitigate the things that you're getting with these patterns and these actions, right? So now that I have a lot of bullets on my board, how do I get rid of them? Well, I want to use my patterns to do that. Currently, none of my configurations here are really set up. This one requires 2 red bullets. This one requires a yellow bullet and any colored bullet. That's what this white circle is. So I want to try to get these bullets set up so I can get rid of them. These little starburst spaces here are what bullets get cleared from my board, sent to the opponent when I use a pattern here.
Okay, so hypothetically, if you did have in the pink column, you had something in the 4th slot down, you could do crossfade.
Right. So what I could do is I can use my actions to do that, right? So I have an action here. They have costs in the corner, number costs. So this movement 1 costs 1 AP. And I can move this bullet down 1 with this movement action. So now I have the 2 bullets for this configuration. And I could use it, but as you can see, I'm not really clearing anything in these spaces on the top and the bottom, so might want to move another bullet down 1, so now I'm clearing 2 of these instead of just 1. I could do it again, and now I have all 3 of these clear spots filled, so I would clear.
Okay.
I could discard this pattern here and clear these 3. Send them to your incoming here, and you'll get these on your next turn.
Okay.
So
I need to zoom.
You don't have to worry about it right now.
Oh, okay.
You would later.
So it's almost like you're building up a queue of attacks that you have to respond to, like.
Right. So since the turns are simultaneous, you don't really have a lot of time to look at what I'm doing, but you can kind of, in between plays, kind of glance at what I'm doing and maybe see like, oh, those pinks aren't there anymore. He must have sent them to me. So you can kind of also strategize around what you might be getting on your next turn as well. So that's kind of how that works. You'll notice that one of the bullets has a star here. So notice this yellow 4 has a star. Some characters have these star actions here. So when you get rid of a bullet, or you clear a bullet with a star, you get these star effects. So I can gain an action point. So this is standard for every heroine. Whenever you clear a star, you just get an AP back. So your action points kind of ebb and flow as you play. And then my character, Adelheid, has the special, another star where I can flip a bullet face down. And her character is that her face down bullets are like any color. So they're essentially wilds.
Oh, okay.
So I can kind of try to save these and use sort of very color-focused patterns later on in the round or in a future round.
So you could make it wild and then use the abilities up here, the one.
Yeah, I could move it around and whatnot to fulfill like this pattern that has 2 reds. I could move this over, and I'd be kind of set up for this one now too, since this is any color. It can count as red. Right.
You probably said this already, but how many actions do you have by default?
So you have 7 action points worth of actions, and then during your turn you can spend any AP to use these actions here. So as you saw earlier, I was spending a lot of AP to move, to use this move action, but I could spend 2 AP to draw a pattern with this action if I don't like what I have in my hand here. I could try to dig and see if I can get something more useful. And this character can also move bullets diagonally, so I could spend AP and move a bullet in a diagonal configuration instead of down left or right.
Okay.
So that's kind of how all her actions work. Your character obviously has a different set of actions. This movement and this draw are pretty standard, but the second 2 abilities are usually unique to the heroine. So I can move bullets diagonally. No other character can really do that. So that's unique to her. Same with this star effect here. Nobody else has this star effect. And the interesting thing about this play is that you do these in any order you want. So I don't have to draw all bullets once. I can draw some bullets and then use some actions and then maybe use a pattern and then draw more bullets. The only rule is that I can't end my turn until this bag is completely empty. So no matter what I do, I have to get rid of all of these in my bag at some point.
So you mentioned a timer. So the timer is either the bag being empty, or if you set a timer, whatever you can use is what you use.
Right. So normally, if you play with the timer, it's a 3-minute timer suggested, and then if the time to run out, then you would just have to place everything in your bag immediately, and then your turn would end. So if you manage to finish your turn before the timer runs out, great. If you don't, the game just automatically places everything for you, and then you have to go to the next turn. So. And
there's normally 3 rounds.
So
3. How does that?
If you go to the center here, the game plays until somebody loses.
Okay.
And how that's actually a good segue into the end of the turn. So let's say it was done with my turn. Mm-hmm. At the end of my turn, I take any bullets that you sent me and put them in my bag for next turn. And then I also take bullets equal to this intensity deck here. So I would also take 4 bullets from the center and put them in my bag. And then each round, this goes up by 1. So at the end of every next turn, we'll be drawing more bullets. So eventually, someone will lose.
Okay. Yeah. I don't doubt that for a second.
Right. And also, we have these power-ups here. This is kind of a 4th action. So when you end your turn, you indicate that by taking one of these power-ups, and they slot into one of these empty slots here.
Oh, okay.
And these are like a one-time effect I can use future turns. So on next turn, I could discard this and then clear a bullet for free. Is what this one does. And each one does a kind of a different thing.
And you only get, each player just gets 1.
At each turn, you'll get 1, yeah. And so that's kind of an incentive to finish quickly as well, because if I finish first, I get a choice between these 2. And if I were to finish second, there would only be 1 left, so I would only get what's left.
Okay. Another question. The 3 bullets that the pattern that you cleared that's going to go into that I have to deal with. I have to deal with all those bullets at once.
You'll deal with them next turn. So next turn they'll just go into your bag, and they'll be, you can draw them at any time your turn, like I did.
Oh, I would draw them one by one. I'm not drawing them as that pattern.
Right. So placing a bullet is an action that you can take on your turn. So I could draw 1 bullet and place it. And then I could maybe use an action or maybe use a pattern or draw more bullets if I wanted to. Yeah, so you draw 1 at a time.
The better you do, the more bullets you're sending over to your opponent.
Exactly. So you're clearing your board, which makes it safer for you, and you're also hindering your opponent because you're sending a lot of bullets that they'll have to deal with.
I thought for a moment that I would have to deal with those 3 in the very pattern with which they were placed into.
Oh, no. It's not that involved. No, they'll just collapse into your bag.
Okay, it's more to have to deal with anyway. So whether they're an aggregate or not.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the basics of gameplay. Place bullets, use actions, use patterns. At the end of the turn, you get more bullets, and you get a power-up to help you on the future turns. That's more or less how the game works. So if you'd like, we can play a couple rounds.
Yeah.
I can show you how the actual game goes.
I just want to understand what her power is.
Sure.
Begin the game with 4 patterns in play.
Right. So normally you only have 3 patterns.
Oh, I just
in
get.
your
Oh,
hand.
you did say that. I get a 4.
But you get 4 instead, so you get a little extra to work with than most characters. So let's see. To set up, we both need 10 bullets here in our bag, because I believe you already have 10, and then I have 10 as well. So we shuffle this. The lock points are a little finicky in this prototype. Alright. So you can go ahead and draw 4 patterns from your deck, and we'll be all ready to play. I guess I should go character just to kind of explain. So you have the 4 patterns, but let me for your unique actions. So you have a standard movement. Ice Fair here has standard movement like I do. So you can spend an action point to move a bullet only down or left or right, not up. So you can only move things in those directions. You can spend 2 AP to draw a pattern. Pretty straightforward. you can spend 2 AP to move a bullet up 1 space. So this is the only character that can actually move bullets directly up. So that's pretty cool and useful. And then you could also spend 2 AP to move a bullet down any number of spaces. So you could move a bullet, you can move the screen 3 like all the way down here, or just down 1, or whatever you feel is useful to you.
And if I'm running low on action points, I'm incentivized to clear patterns with stars so I can gain. Is it per bullet?
It's per star. So if you cleared 2 stars in your pattern, you would get 2 action points back.
Cool. But there's a max of 7. I can't go up to 8.
Yes. So if you were at 6 and you gained 2, you would just go back to 7, right?
Gotcha. I wonder if like using too many action points is like worth it.
It depends on what your setup is. Sometimes you want to see if the bullets fall. Sometimes you want to spend a lot to make sure you don't.
And sometimes you regret not having done it because you take damage.
Right. So that's the thing. And that's the nice thing too is that the game, once you understand how the game works, you can play it in like 15 minutes. So even if you lose it, you can just start back up and play again.
So up one. No, wait a minute. I don't want to do that. Oh, wait a minute. That might be too much movement.
You're getting a lot of use out of that curtain, right?
Yeah, the graviton curtain is like fantastic.
It's pretty good. Oh, you've taken 2 damage too. Okay, I've also taken 2 damage, so we're keeping pace.
I'm cheating, looking at what you have.
Oh no, that's fine. That's perfectly legal. You can kind of see. Now that I'm done, that's kind of the... I don't always want to finish first, because then you can see what I've got and try to like send things that might hurt me. So like I got a lot of pinks and blues.
Did you already take your thing already?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there's yours. Turn. Then we'll get 2 more. Next round, we'll get 7, 2, 3, 7. And then these, you've got, 15 more to deal with. And then this goes up to 8. Right. Okay, so yeah. Just draw up to 4, and we'll be ready for the next round. This might be run where somebody loses, because we're both at half health. And I got like 21 to deal with here. So it's going to be rough.
So shaking it actually shuffles it?
You can shake it, yeah, or you can just right-click and hit shuffle. Alright, cool. So let's start the next round then.
How many demos have you done already for the game?
As far as this is the first demo done as far as the call for demo is concerned, but as far as like people I've played this with, like I can't count. Like, yeah. At least like 20 or 30, probably. But yeah, you're the first one that signed up for a demo slot. So
yeah, I saw the email. Was like, yeah, man. I was like,
sure. And then I appreciate it.
And I saw it on the Facebook group too.
Oh, nice.
I was like, yeah, this. Yeah. Let's see, what can I do here? Oh, go back up to 7. I always forget to do that. So move 1. What's that person doing? Let me see what else I can do. Okay, now I have to do something because this is nuts.
Yeah, in these later rounds, you'll have so that you'll be forced to stop and like figure out something to do because we're out of space. This.
2. That doesn't make any sense to do that. Move. I'm getting myself all mixed up. Is it like a quick undo button?
Not that I'm aware of, unfortunately. Control Z might do. You could try that. See if that works.
I feel like I really kind of goofed it. Oh, wait a minute. No. Where was this? I feel like this is up here. So, I'm going to E2. Move this down here. So that Graviton curtain is just... It is such a lovely card. It's
pretty nice. So now I'm kind of at the mercy of the bag. I only have one pack left. I don't really have any setups for it, so now I just kind of got to draw 9 and hope that I played
I'll miss you.
Let's see. I think I'm gonna go down close to. Yep. Okay, so I lost this turn. Unfortunately for you, you still have to finish your turn before we see who wins. So if you also lose on this turn, then there's some special rules for that.
So if I take 4 to move these down here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that make any sense to do? No, it doesn't make any sense to do. No, that does not make any sense. Alright, I forgot I don't think I've been moving things down to the bottom or as far as it can go. Like, I don't know why I've been doing that. That's 2, 4. I gotta work on something else then. Unless I want to move these over. 1, 2. Take these. I used that.
Well, those spaces have to be empty, actually. You'd have
is that
that's the empty space. Yeah. It's on your pattern reference. So you could just, move this back to where it was, and then just move this like down 1, and then you'd still be at 3 AP, I believe, and then you could do that if you wanted.
Oh, okay.
That'd be fine. Do the same thing.
Just fumbling with the controls a bit.
Fine.
So that's out of there. Instead of 6 things in here? Jeez.
Yeah, it adds up over some rounds. Ooh.
Yeah, it's not looking too good. Should probably
Well, you only gotta survive. If you can survive 4 bullets, you'll beat me, because I've already taken 4 damage.
These are just going to the center.
Okay. Oh, they power up? Cool.
Yeah, I'll use that.
Sure.
Okay, got 1. What can I use? I could use these if there was more stuff here. So I could move these up. I use 2.
Oh, it's two per up. So your up move costs 2 instead of 1.
Nope, can't do
So
that.
it's a little more costly. So you could do it once, if you wanted. So you'd be at 3, I think.
Let's see what else I got.
1 more. I think you can take 1 more. Because even if it's yellow, you'd be okay. Right? Ooh, close. Okay, so that's game. I took 4 damage, and you survived this turn without losing. So congratulations.
You took it easy on me, but I'll take it.
I actually took a couple of really stupid risks I shouldn't have during the game. I tend to play a little riskier than most play, just because I know the ratio of the bag, but it kind of bit me in the butt this time. But yeah, so that's the basic game mode that you just saw. And if you like, I can tell you the other 3 modes work.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go over those. So there's 3 other modes. There's a score attack, which is a solo mode for 1 player. So that plays exactly like we just played, except instead of sending bullets to the opponent, because I don't have an opponent, I would send them to the intensity track here, and then that determines how much I draw the turn. So if I had sent like these 5, for example, I would draw 8 plus 5 because that's what I sent. And so I kind of play and see when I can go with a character before I lose. So it's good to kind of try out new characters you might tried before, or just to see how far you can get with a character. So that's score attack mode. There's team mode, which is a 4-player.
So your actual score is how high the intensity gets.
Right. So how many turns you can survive, essentially, right?
Oh, okay.
Is your score. Mm-hmm.
How far have you gotten?
It depends on the character. Some heroines I've done better with than others. I think the far I've gotten is probably around 8 or so. So that's pretty far, since you usually it's around 5-ish. I've heard that some playtesters have gotten up to like round 10, which is crazy to me.
I don't know how you do that. But.
Yeah, it's a lot of knowing what you can do, I guess, knowing what veterans can do, and using your abilities like perfectly and whatnot. So there's a lot of play to play the game like way more than I have. We have a lot of dedicated testers. Let's see. So there's team mode as well. That's a 4-player mode. You have 2 teams of 2, and that play is exactly like we just played. The only difference is you have these team actions here. So in team mode, you don't get power-ups. You just have these additional actions that let me interact with my teammate. So I can like place bullets on their board. I can let them draw a pattern, and I can let them move bullets as well. So we kind of work together to beat the other team.
So you collaborate with your partner?
Yes.
Like the ones you have on your board affect your partner and vice versa?
They do, so much in that I can send them to my partner. So we still both play solitaire, but we have these actions that let us kind of interact with each other.
Oh, okay.
So if I have this pattern here that requires green and I only have 1 green, I can ask you to give me green to help me use this if I want. And that mode doesn't use a timer, obviously, because it's a little more strategic involved. I suppose you could play with a timer if you wanted to.
It seems difficult, but I get it. Like I get the appeal of it. I probably wouldn't play with a timer.
Yeah, a lot of players, it depends on what you like. Some players like timers, some don't. So the options are there if you want them.
Yeah, diagonal movements are a real advantage. That cuts down on an action point.
Right. So that's kind of her crux, is she gets this diagonal movement. But in exchange, a lot of runs are very color focused, so I have to be really careful about which bullet I make wild and like how I use them, and make sure that I don't clear them as part of a pattern, so I can keep them for future turns. So there's a lot of strategy in that. And there's 8 different characters too. We only played with 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
But there's all kinds of different characters in the box, and they all play completely differently. Like this character adds up the numbers of her bullets. This character has little crosshairs that go on her board, and she uses patterns with these crosshairs as requirements instead of bullets. This character can't move normally. They have to use their patterns to move bullets off their boards. There's all neat different effects of these different characters.
Are you locked into the character art as it is now?
Yeah, so the art you're seeing is final art for these heroines. The boss arts in boss mode, which I'll show you in a second, aren't quite finished yet. But the ones you're looking at here are final arts for these.
I was asking because I was just curious if there was going to be maybe some characters of color. Or...
Oh yeah, we made sure to try to be diverse a bit in the base game. Some actually every character is from a different nationality. So we have Russian character, we have Romanian character, we have Chinese character, American, we have a Serbian character, Korean, Japanese, Hawaiian as well.
Okay.
And all the future expansions we have planned for different nationalities from these as well.
Huh. Cool.
So we try to diversify in all the games we make.
That's good. That's very good.
Mm.
I see this character is a challenging one. She only has 3 hit points.
Yeah, so she only has 3 hit points, and she only has 3 actions, but her ability is that when she uses all patterns, she gets to clear all of her 3 bullets on her board. So she can kind of save a bunch of 3s on her board and send you a bunch in one turn, way more than most characters can. But she has all these limitations like life, and she only 6 AP as well. She doesn't have 7 like most characters. So
so some advanced mode kind of stuff.
Yeah. There's actually funny that you mentioned that. There's difficulties here in the corner. So the heart indicates like an easier type of character to play, and the star indicates like a harder character. So you can kind of pick and choose based on like a difficulty if you want. So the character have more going on or harder to play, and involve more strategy and whatnot. So yeah, that's those characters. If you want, move over to the I guess it's your left, the far left of the table. I can kind of show you how boss mode works.
I didn't even notice all this. Oh wow.
Yeah, so
Bang the sun.
So this is boss mode. On the back of your character, on the back of your action and your heroine, there's a boss version of that character. So you can see this is Icever's boss mode here. And this is a cooperative mode. So 1 to 4 players can fight against a boss version of heroine here. And this works pretty similar to what we played. The gameplay is the same. The only difference is you have this boss here. And how the boss works is they also have patterns like the heroines do. And on the boss's turn, they reveal one of these. And on our turn, if we don't have this configuration, show our board. So if I don't have 3 of the same number bullet in a row at the end of my turn, I would suffer this negative effect. So I would have to move all of my bullets down 2, which means some could hit, which is really bad. So that's how boss patterns work. So not only are we trying to send a bunch of bullets to the boss to hurt them, we also have to keep these patterns in mind and try to keep these configurations from hurting us as well.
How do the bullets you sent at the boss hurt them?
So
where were they
you'll notice under each shield here, there's a little number. This is the amount of bullets you have to send based on player count. So if we were both playing against this boss, we have to send 12 bullets to break the shield and damage the boss.
Okay.
And that carries over. So if we only sent 10 bullets on one turn, they would stay there for the next turn. So we can take multiple turns to send a bunch of bullets if we need to.
So you actually just put the bullets on top of...
you can put them in their incoming here, like a heroine. So they have coming section as well.
Okay.
You just put them above here. And as you break shields, the number here on the top, is the intensity. So instead of using the intensity cards that we used, or the boss tells us how much we draw at the end of our turn. So the more we hurt them, the more we're going to have to draw. And you'll also notice that they might have effects as well. So when we break a shield, we also do whatever bad effect they have. So if we were to break this one, they would get to use an extra pattern next turn. So not only would we have to deal with that, we would have to deal with this one as well. So we might have 2 bad things that are going to happen to us that we have to try to mitigate. And then if we break all of their shields, we beat the boss. And so that's kind of how boss mode works. It's kind of a simple extension of the basic.
The rounds go from the top to the bottom.
Right, yeah. So we break from top to bottom, yes.
That is really cool. And this is something that is coming in the base game, or this will be something...
This is part of the base game. So these are just on the back of the heroine boards. You'll have their boss form.
That is really cool. I'd like solo modes, and I like co-op. That's...
Right. A lot of people like this boss a lot. So I'd recommend you give it a try at some point if you want.
No, this is really dope. I think the whole package is really nice. And I'm sure you know the trend of releasing something and then you'll get bosses in the subsequent release, or it's I'm glad it's all together.
Yeah, a lot of times when we make games at Level 99, we try to package them with as much content as we can. So yeah, this boss mode could have easily just been an expansion thing, but we really wanted to put more in the base game for different kinds of player counts, right? You can play, if you're a single player, you can still buy this game, play boss mode or play score attack, and have a good time.
Yeah, solo modes they were already important, but it seems like the audience for them has grown. I like, yeah.
I think so, yeah. I think that solo modes are becoming a real big thing nowadays. So yeah, that's the 4 modes. Did you have any questions about what you just saw, or anything like that?
You probably, maybe you answered this already, but when is Bullet slated to like a release window, I guess.
So we're starting the Kickstarter on May 19th
Mm-hmm.
of this year. So only in a couple weeks we'll be Kickstarting it, and then assuming everything goes well, we'll be releasing it in retail in February 2021. So testing is mainly done, but we're still waiting on some art and graphic design and whatnot. So you can see some of these bosses have finished art, but some of them we just have placeholder arts for placeholder boards. So like she doesn't have a finished boss art yet, but so once we get all the art's in, the graphic design finished, we'll be sending it to press in probably about September for a January, February release. So yeah,
I like it a lot. I can't
check
think
out
of
the Kickstarter.
Oh, definitely. I like it. I can't think of anything I would compare it to. I guess I don't own any games that play like this per se.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that means I need to buy more games.
We've actually had a lot of people like say that same thing. Like it's a little hard to compare it to other things. It's kind of like a combination of different games, but I don't think there's like one other board. It's like that.
What were your influences for it? Other than bullet hell shooters and shooters?
Mainly bullet hells. Actually, this version, we developed another game that was like a dancing rhythm game a long time ago that never ended up getting released, and I used the basis of that for this version. So in that game, you had a lot, like you were trying to like draw colors to certain sections of the board, kind of like playing Guitar Hero or Dance Dance Revolution or something like that. And you were trying to do a similar thing that you do in Bullet, where you're trying to stop these colors from overflow. But the gameplay was a lot different. So I kind of used that as a basis for this version. But this is version 28, actually, that you're looking at. So this has been
version 28.
Quite a few other versions of this game that have happened to get to this point. So it's been a lot of testing.
It's really good. You should be proud.
Well, I'm glad. Thank you. Appreciate that.
This is very fun. It's unique. It definitely stands out. So I'm gonna let you go. I know you have many other people to show this to, but I'm kind of flattered. I think it's cool that I'm the first one to get to take a look at it on TTS. That's kind of nice.
Oh yeah, it's no problem. I appreciate you checking. Now I'll send you the module in a second, so you can play. You can play this more if you want, or show friends or whatnot.
Oh yeah, so, this is great. Yeah. This is a lot of fun. Joshua,
yeah.
thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
I hope the Kickstarter does very well for you, and I look forward to hearing more about the game as things progress.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for having me, and thanks for checking out Bullet.